My name is Evaldas Volunas. I'm a cybersecurity product manager here at Hermitage Solutions. And I'll do a brief intro into the product and the company and the challenges related to network access control. So yeah, today we are talking about network access control. What is it? Why is it important? And Genians, how it could help you with securing your network. So starting from the beginning, I'll just, okay. So brief intro, yeah. What are the main challenges which companies are facing right now? Yeah, and how it could be later on. We'll talk about how it could be overcome with using network access control tools. This is a very brief agenda what I'm going to talk about. Yeah, so the challenges, so how to start to implement the solutions based on that, and why network access control is required to secure the network. And later on, we'll talk about the Genians as a product, how it could help you with securing your networks. And later on, my colleague Dinas will show the demos of the practical side, how this product looks like and how it works. So yeah, situation and the challenges we are facing today. Yeah, so all the major technology analysts, major companies, they are saying very similar things, but a little bit from different perspective. Yeah, so let's say Gartner, for example, we are talking about IoT devices. Yeah, that IoT devices is growing, it is here to stay, and it will be growing at a steady pace. So it means that besides traditional network assets, we also need to think how to secure IoT, which are not standardized, use different protocols, and sometimes cannot be secured using the same traditional tools which are currently used within the companies. Also about the security tools, yeah, so one of the examples is a Cisco quote that they are noticing, well, this will be from their enterprise grade customers, that the companies are using up to 70 security vendors installed just to secure the companies well, cybersecurity from cybersecurity threats. And later on, if we move on, so also when you have so many tools, it's also a trend that companies are trying to consolidate, so use less tools but have the same functionality. And of course, compliance is also one of the things which forces companies to do investment in network security, not only network security, but in general in cyber security, including network security. And it's not only issue for bigger companies like enterprise, but also cyber attacks is a threat, so same threat for also small and medium companies, SMB or SME segment. And some statistics that, well, we can find different statistics, but many companies after facing cybersecurity breaches or incidents will go out of business. So sometimes it's better to do proactive investment into cybersecurity to keep your business running. So what are the first things to do? Yeah, so we know that what are the threats, what are the trends? Yeah, we have different devices. We have threats outside the network, and we need to secure it. Yeah, so how do we start? So first things first. Yeah, so Genians will suggest a very simple three-step journey, starting with a basic, foundational, and organizational. Basic, it means you have to do an investigation. So first of all, you have to see what you have on your network in order to secure it. You cannot secure what you don't know that you have on your network. So when you have a visibility, so next step is to apply foundational or the basic access control policy. So who has access where and when? Let's say you can also apply not only traditional but also conditional network access. using dynamic groups. I'll talk about it a little bit later. And organization also taking this even a step further. So you implement basic policies for policy enforcement, and you can do automation. So you can, for instance, do integration with firewall or other systems to utilize even better NAC. So if you have any threats, so NAC could isolate the device and in the network until the problem is resolved. So the focus, which we'll be talking about securing the network, so it will be critical controls, so like a center of internet security, like a CIS controls. So what they are saying, so in general, is that 85% of common attacks could be stopped if you implement critical controls. So now we have 18 critical controls, and network access control is one of the basic controls. So it means this control, which should be implemented during that first stage of implementation of critical controls. So how does it look like? Yeah, so if we take any kind of standardization of cybersecurity or the framework, we can find all the same, let's say, well, here we have a critical controls, but in general, security controls, which sounds very similar, but does exactly the same thing. So, for example, inventory and control of hardware assets, same for the software assets, continuous vulnerability management, controlled use of administrative privileges. So it means that who can get elevated privileges, secure configuration for devices, and constant maintenance and monitoring of what is going on. And this is common across many different security frameworks and standards. So how NAC could help and why is it needed? Yeah, so previously we saw this like a security control, so how we can implement it. Yeah, so on the left side we have these security controls, and on the right side we have the explanation how it could be done. Yeah, so first we have do inventory and control of hardware assets. Yeah, so with NAC you can detect all IP enabled devices. So it means if a device on the network has an IP address, it will be detected by network access control and it will be added into your inventory. And later on, you can decide what to do with it. Same thing for software assets. So when you have, let's say, computers or servers, you deploy an agent, and agent provides the information about the software installed on this host. So now you have information about the hardware and about the software, and based on that, you can start applying some security policies. Continuous vulnerability management. So it means when you have a list of your devices, you can have using like a device platform intelligence, I'll talk about it later, you can get information about vulnerabilities relevant to these devices. So it's in simple terms, you get CVE information about devices on your network, and it's up to you what to do with it, maybe just which security measures to apply, maybe some patches or hotfixes can fix it. If not, maybe some additional IDS, IPS policies should be implemented, or this device must be kind of isolated in a separate network, etc. So many ways how to control it. And control use of administrative privileges. So you just apply policies which allows for certain users using certain devices to access certain to access the network in simple terms. Configuration and hardware software, like a secure configuration. Yeah, so you can inspect devices configuration. So it means, is it properly configured? If something needs to be fixed, so you can see it and fix it and set a security baseline for your company. And if these configurations will be changed somewhere in a point in time. So you can always find it as a deviation and fix it back. So let's, for example, if someone opened a port, you will get a notification and you can fix it just by closing this port in configuration. And of course, maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit log. So everything what is happening on the network is being logged. So you can have these logs on this system, or you can have an integration with SIEM solutions and forward all this information to SIEM solutions. So once again, just to recap, what is the NAC? So sometimes we hear like a NAC, next generation NAC. So in general, NAC is a network access control. In simple terms, a solution which help you control who has an access to your network. Well, it goes a bit deeper than that, but the general concept is like this. So the benefit of having this type of solution, so first of all, you get the full visibility, because as I said previously, if you want to control, you need to see what's on your network. And you can apply unified security policies across all your network. So like a one pane of glass where you set the policies and it is being applied across all your network. So the challenges, especially with this legacy or let's say traditional NAC solutions, is that it is difficult to deploy and maintain. And another thing is the price, because in the market, we have like a big major vendors who not only produces the network equipment, but also has a network access control solution. So this solution works very well with their own product, but sometimes not so well with third parties or legacy devices or devices which uses a bit different protocols or some custom devices. So some of the network devices are being left outside the scope which we saw these solutions could resolve. And that's why only, let's say, previously on the larger organizations which were using like a network devices from one or two global brands using traditional NACs would see the benefit. But now it's not the case, because every single company which has a network must install proper security measures for their networks. And these big solutions is not an option for them. Because now when we're talking about the next gen, it should be compatible with IoT devices. And these devices are not standardized as regular IT devices, and a bit more specific approach is needed how to control them. And solutions should be affordable, because the major brands, they cost a lot of money, and we need something more affordable, which Genians in this case is one of the options. So I already mentioned Genians. So why Genians? Starting from the beginning, maybe I was saying interchangeably Genian and Genians. So just to understand, Genians is a company name, and the product itself is a Genian NAC, Genian Network Access Control. The company itself is not not a startup, but it's a very well-established company with existing customer base, which stocks are listed. So it's profitable, growing company, like a stable security partner for its customers. So right now it has over 1,600 customers across different regions, across different verticals and different sizes. So what in general the Genian NAC does? It focuses on gathering intelligence on the networks, using network sensors on devices and users, getting information from devices and its users using, let's say, agents installed on these devices. So and as I mentioned, this solution is being used across many companies within Fortune 500 and also in SME sector. And in general, how it works, it has three main points. Yeah, so it's a network surveillance, or we can call it monitoring. So first of all, we do network scanning and do network inventory. What do we have on the network? The second step is network access control, when we start applying security policies, who has access to the network, and even based on some conditions, if it has a latest software, if it has some antivirus agents installed, MDM agent installed, etc. And even going further is the network security automation. So when we are doing for example, integration with firewalls, which can send the signal, and NAC can isolate the devices, and many more ways how to do this integration. So here's a list of different verticals with logos of the customer. So you can see that Genius is being used by enterprises, by financial sector, government and military. For example, it was like Ministry of Interior and National Defense in South Korea, infrastructure, energy, healthcare, education. So healthcare, educations, as you know, are one of the most common targets right now for these ransomware attacks, because these sectors are the most prone to cyber attacks, since their cybersecurity level is not very high. So these sectors, they need to do some, to increase their networks, to increase in general their cybersecurity. And even and of course the network security, just to secure themselves from these cyber attacks, because they have a target on their back. So as I mentioned, so already mentioned these three main steps, like a network surveillance or monitoring, network access control, and security automation. So in general, what it does give for the customer, so it gives visibility, it gives network security, and of course it provides the compliance. So if you set it up properly, so you get two things. Not only your network becomes more secure, but you also get to be compliant against, let's say, ISO 27, PCI DSS, or any other regulation which requires the security controls to be installed in place. So a bit more in depth, how does it look like? So like a network access control. So in a surveillance or monitoring stage, you can find information about devices, users, its IP, MAC addresses, switch port used SSIDs, etc. And policy enforcement. Excuse me. You can apply authentication, authorization, remediation, and auditing policy. So it means you can grant or restrict access, or if something is wrong, you can fix it and give these, let's say, devices access to the network. And control, so you can control with integration with firewalls, IDS, IPS solutions, MDMs, CMs, etc. So, in general, this already maybe a little bit repeated, but the main use cases, how it could be used on the scenario. So it's like you can secure your mobile, bring your own devices, give access to guests who are on your network, not permanent users, maybe some visitors, etc. Or devices which are not compatible, but you can give them access to get latest updates. So when it's updated, you can give a full access. So also we have IP management solutions, switch port management. Dennis, I believe, will show how it looks like. Wi-Fi security and for endpoint configuration management, and it has built-in services like a DHCP, radio server, syslog. So when it comes to providing a full suite for network access control, you don't need to look further for any additional tools like you can have DHCP and radio server in the same solution, so you don't need any like a third-party solution. So it's like a all-in-one solution which has all the features which are needed to do network access control, because for some for other products you might need some external radio server to control radius agents. So yeah, so a bit more about more details about this, which I mentioned, device platform intelligence. So it means that Genians themselves, they have an external database about most of the devices which are visible on the network. So when you find any asset on the network, it will query Genians cloud and will get back information about the device. So what's the manufacturer, what's the release date, also get information about if this device is end of life, end of sales, and if you have some legacy devices and having in consideration the current geopolitical situation, you can also check the real country of origin where it was produced. So maybe if you have some old Chinese devices, maybe it would be a good chance to get rid of them, etc. And risks, yeah, you get information about CVEs and also information about the vendor itself. Maybe it was it merged with someone, or maybe it was acquired by another company. So you would know that maybe in future it might cause some support issues, etc. So you get full visibility about your devices on the network. So this is which is device platform intelligent about. So I won't get too deep about this network surveillance. So in general, it monitors the network, and I just highlighted heterogeneous because it supports majority of the devices which could be found on the network, and especially including these legacy devices, because it has different ways how to manage different mechanism, how to manage different type of devices. So for example, yeah, so you monitor the network, you see what's on the network, you get more conditional information or contextual information about the devices, like not only device, but which users are using, why they are using, when they are using, how they are using, etc. And you can also detect the say deviations or abnormal network traffic, what is going on the network. And of course, you can set up your personalized dashboards, which will show information which is relevant to you. The control itself, yeah, so previously I was mentioning that there are many different control mechanisms. So for instance, so just to keep in mind, Genian network access control is a layer 2 tool. So because majority of the tools, they are based on layer 3. So those who work in network, so they do understand the basic differences between L2 and L3 network devices and its controls. So, and another very important thing, yeah, it's a dynamic classification. So based on the condition of your devices, it is being assigned to one group. After, let's say, some time passes, it does not receive any updates, it will be dropped out to another conditional group, let's say for devices which need patches or updates. And different policies for different conditional groups are being applied automatically. So, and I said, when I previously said that this tool has all the required features for you to have like all-in-one network access control. So here on the right side, you can see this multi-layered security. Yeah, so as I said, it has a mechanism for layer 2 control, for layer 3 control, for agent-based control. It also supports .1x control using built-in radio server, built-in DHCP server, integrations with firewalls, and a captive portal for guest users or for devices which are outside the compliance, so they could get access to the internet. For example, download the updates, make the device compliant, and get the full access to the network. So, and automation. So the solution has many ways how to do integration and automation. Yeah, so using syslog, provide information to SIEMs, webhooks, exchange information between different devices, and even use a REST API to get send and get the information. Excuse me. Yeah, so for example, for automation for security, perimeter security, so the solution can give, so it means it can provide information to third parties about IP, user information, and policies for this user, and get information from these devices. For instance, maybe from firewall or DLP, it can get a request to isolate this endpoint. Also, the same for threat detection. If any threats are being detected for this device, it can get information and request to quarantine these devices. And for even for mobility, so MDM or point management solutions, it can block access for these devices if we don't have a proper MDM agent installed on a device. And some scenarios on the left side with which solution could be integrated. So yeah, it's like a firewalls, IDS, IPS, SIEM, MDM solutions, DLPs, etc. So in simple terms, how does it work? So there are a few main components. Well, the main component is a policy server. So it's a brain of a system where you set up and apply all the policies. Excuse me. Then you have a network sensor for those devices which cannot have agents installed, and you have agents. So on the policy server, you do the management. On the sensor, you can do the scanning and get information about what is going on, and enforce the access policies. With agents, you can do even a little bit more. So it's a control installed hardware and software, do configuration checking, and fixing this configuration is needed. And agent supports 3 main platforms: it's Windows, Mac, and Linuxes. So about the product itself, so in general, it has 3 main editions, starting from the basic one, which does network surveillance or network monitoring; professional, which does the network access control, so where you start apply control policies; and enterprise, which allows you to do network security automation. So as a main step was where in the beginning when I started this presentation, so you can start from monitoring. So you do inventory assessment, what you have hardware, software on your network, and later on you can go to network access control. And might be that if you're a small organization, you might not need enterprise solution to do this automation. Maybe your professional edition will be just fine for you. So the solution itself, so it's a software, so a piece of software which could be installed on your network. It could be also cloud managed, and if you are an MSP provider, it also has an MSP platform. But just a side note, so the entry threshold is pretty high, so you have to have at least several thousands of managed devices to start using MSP option. So now I will hand it over to Dinas, and he will show how does it look like and how it works.
Okay, thank you for presentation, Aldous. Let's try and share my screen.
While Dinas is preparing, I would like to remind you to send your questions in the Q&A section if you have any. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can see my screen, so I will take over. So yeah, Eldas talked a lot about those deployment event options, but just quickly to say some additional stuff. So yeah, as mentioned, policy server, it can be deployed on premise or on cloud. If we deploy it on cloud, we will need a sensor in the network. If we use on-prem option, policy server could be a sensor as well if it can reach all the devices. If we can give a strong port from switch and the policy server can see layer 2 traffic, so we can do it like that. Sensor is only needed when you have branch offices or there is network segregation where you cannot see all the traffic from one place. And yeah, it's Linux based, so you can deploy mostly on anything. Sensors are also Linux based, so also can be deployed on almost anything. Yeah, as Evaldas mentioned, there are different ways of enforcement. The usual industry standard is this .1x radius, using radius. But what is nice about Genians, it has this interesting approach, I would say, and quite original approach using this ARP poisoning or ARP attacks, where it fills down the MAC address or ARP table in the computer with its own MAC address and redirects traffic to itself. So in this case, it becomes possible to deploy on any environment, on any device, because all of the network connected devices have ARP tables and their subsets are affected by that. And again, if you want, you can mix and match all the different ways to enforce traffic and etc. So let's go maybe a bit to the management server. So as usual, we have all the dashboards, etc. Those are editable, clickable. I think it's expected from everyone. So the first step when you deploy Genians, you kind of want to get this visibility, and see all the devices that are connected to your network. You will see all the traffic that is happening and all our devices. Genians will try to, let's go to some subnet maybe. We'll try to recognize those devices, what platform it's using, the MAC IP address, if there is a host name, the host name, if there is some policy applied, etc. It will try to do all of that, but then you will usually want to automatically group them, allow them, etc. So by all the stuff you see, you can put them in specific groups. So we did it by different subnets, but you could do it also additionally by different operating systems, by host names, whatever you want. You can, by the port in the switch they are connected, you can group them like that. So when you group them, you can apply the policies. And when you apply the policies, of course, you can enforce something. When we go deeper, as Evaldas mentioned, there is agents, and if we want to go even stricter in our security, installing an agent gives us additional information on the machine. So let's say I have some demo PC. It has recognized some CVs on that machine. I can see system information, let's say I don't know how much storage it has, what CPU it uses, etc. I can see software that is installed and version of that software. So usual maybe requirement would be that your antivirus should be installed and it should be a specific version or something like that, or maybe some unneeded, let's say Candy Crush Saga game should not be installed, and if it's installed, let's not allow it. Well, maybe torrent is more logical example, but yeah, it will get this information, let's say operating system updates, etc. And again, we can even go deeper, controlling who is allowed, who is not allowed on the network. Yeah. Let's say I have specified who is allowed and who is not allowed, and I have some machine that's connected and she is not trusted. It's not a trusted machine. It should not be allowed here. We can see that there is some enforcement policy applied here. And now Genians is doing an ARP attack to this computer. And if I go here, let's say start ping in Google, or let's look into ARP table. I get request timeout, and if well, it's a daemon environment, so I don't have a lot of IP addresses, but we can see that both of those are the same MAC address. And so this machine is not allowed to connect to the internet, it's blocked, and there is one way I, as administrator, can decide. Maybe it's a trusted device, it's a new computer, whatever. I want to allow it, so let's make a tag, and it's trusted Dave. After I add this tag, it should start getting internet access. So it started pinging Google. If I check my ARP table again, MAC addresses have changed and everything works. So this is one of the ways we can allow machine. Of course, it's very not automated. It's not very maybe fun to do, but let's look something else. So let's again, I will change this tag. I will remove it. That it's not trusted anymore. It should again be blocked. Let's wait. Timed out. And let's say user logged in his computer, and you have a policy that each computer that is trusted in your network and user logged in that computer should be authenticated to Active Directory. And let's say somehow this user did not do that. Maybe he logged in with some local account by some magic, or something else is wrong happening. So he is not authenticated to Active Directory. So when he starts trying to go to internet, he will be automatically redirected to captive portal. Everything here is editable. You can put your own logos, images, change text, whatever you want to do. And here he will get what possibilities he has. So one of the ways we can request an user account, let's say maybe it's a guest network. So maybe guest has to agree with some policies, as we see when you go to the hotel. Yeah, you want to log into Wi-Fi, you get a policy on the network that you have to accept, and then you're allowed to log in. Or let's say in this case, user did not manage to log into Active Directory, so maybe he can log in through here and authenticate himself, typing and writing. When I tried to log in, I did not mess up. Login, I logged in, and now, well, the ping pool should go through again. And if I try to go to google.com, it works. Yeah, so those controls and where they are allowed users to log in, you can do it. So let's say antivirus is an old version, so we can allow them to go to the antivirus update servers, but nowhere else. Yeah, we can manage what they can access when we enforce some policies. Evaldas also mentioned about this device intelligent platform. So here I don't have maybe a very interesting example, but let's click on one of them. It recognized that it's this kind of system. When I click on it, I will get some additional information about it, CVs that are affected. Yeah, well, what should I be concerned about? Maybe I should solve one of those, or maybe they do not affect me. Yeah, maybe I already have a newer version, or it does not matter to me. I'm not using that, whatever. So yeah, you get this information just by clicking on any platform, and it will tell you what issues there might be. It will also try to recognize switches, printers, whatever you're using. Another thing Valdez mentioned, Genians can be a DHCP server, or even if it's not DHCP server, we can see what IPs are being used, which are free, and if it's a DHCP server, we can even control which segment of the IPs we allow, and they have this quite a nice, I would say, visual representation to know if you're starting a new server, what IP to give it or whatever. You can see it here quite nicely. And yeah, block whatever you want, control it. Switch control. So again, you will see which ports are being used, how many devices are connected, the traffic on it. and etc. Again, you can control that and get this visibility. Maybe you want to block some specific ports if, let's say, devices are infected in that network, infected, or do not policies are applied to that device. You can also control it by that. What else? So yeah, logs as usual. You can specify whatever you want. You will see everything that happened. You can create your own filters and see what is going on. Again, all the actions that are abnormal, let's say somebody trying to connect to the network where they are not allowed, you will get alerts by email. You can get alerts by SMS message. So all of those are recorded and sent to the administrator. And yeah, and we can specify different policies. At first, we can apply grouping policies, so how devices we can group. Then we can create enforcement policies where we can specify, let's say, antivirus is not compliant, not running, not installed, etc. So again, we can create on quite a lot of different layers this checking and blocking all the devices if we want to. So going very deeply, even we can check if there is some registry key on the computer, if it's missing or it's on there. We can check it. If we see that's not on there, let's say we want it there, we can block a computer from the network. And yeah, I think those are the main quick stuff that I wanted to mention, not going too deeply and saving you some time. So yeah, if you have any questions, please write. If not, thank you for your attention. And I'll stop sharing, I think.
Okay, so thank you, Evaldas and Dinas, for interesting presentations. I see a few questions. So can we combine Genians with second factor? For example, network access only possible if YubiKey is connected. So
yeah, it's kind of possible to do additional authentication to the network using Genians. So let's say user might be asked to type in something, or yeah, as you mentioned, authenticate using YubiKeys, certificate-based authentication. So yeah, it's possible. It depends on your needs and the way how to integrate it, yeah, and how secure you need it.
Thank you. How different vendors of firewall and switches are integrated for disabling port?
So it's usually the SNTP traffic, so NCTP integration. So you do it and managing to block the ports. But again, port blocking is just one little option that you can do. Usually you can combine all those RP and ARP enforcement, radius, .1x, and yeah, port blocking, inline, etc. So Genians this is the great part again about it, that it can use in one environment all those different options. So let's say we have an old switch which is not managed, not controlled, and I do not want to spend money to change it. It works. So we can then use for that switch ARP enforcement. We have a managed switch where we want to use certificate-based authentication or want to do a port blocking. Then we do this on that switch, that configuration. So it's totally up to the possibilities and up to the customer how to do it.
And on top of that, I'll just add that with Palo Alto, there is a native integration between Genians and Palo Alto. With other vendors, we will need to do integration using, for instance, REST API integration.
One more question. Can it be set up as VM?
Yes, I could not unmute myself. Yes, it usually it is set up as VM, but you can do it as you prefer.
So I don't see any more questions. So thank you for those who asked. And to conclude, we hope that this webinar was helpful and interesting. And as usually, we always invite you to get to know more by contacting us at info@hermitage.lt. Thank you once again for presenters for interesting presentations, and all participants who joined us today. We hope to see you in our future webinars. Thank you and have a good day.
Have a nice day.
Bye.